All right, so what I'm going to have you do over the next few days is work with a partner. So that means groups of two, no more than two people per group. If you really want to work by yourself, that is fine as well. But I would encourage you to work with a partner. That way you can put your heads together, do more research, and come out with a better project here. Um, but like I said, what I'm going to have you do is look at a topic, not a topic, a period in U.S. history that saw pretty significant economic changes happening, or there's like a big event, like the Great Depression, and just focus in on that time period and become the resident expert for that in your class. So I have the topics listed below. You can see them here. You only need to choose one of these time periods to research on. Okay, so with you and your partner, you need to decide which one you would like to do. We have the turn of the century, so this would be like the early 1900s, late 1800s. Um, Especially in big cities, but a lot of changes were happening during that time in the economy. We have the Great Depression, so late 1920s, 1930s. We have the 1940s and 50s, so this is mostly focused in on um, like World War II and post World War II. We have the 1970s with something called stagflation. We have 1980s, mainly during Ronald Reagan's presidency. And then we have the Great Recession and Recovery. So this is roughly about 2007 to about 2014, 15. Um, so those are your topics. You pick one of them you would like to research. The link right here is going to take you to a discussion board. You need to post you and your partner's names and then which time period you've chosen. That way I can make sure I know what everybody's doing, everybody's accounted for, and so on. And then you're going to have time to do the research. So this is pretty open ended. In that I'm not going to have like a ton of super specific questions. Now, that being said, I did list some questions here to kind of get you thinking about what it is you're looking up. So, if you were to choose, let's say I had on here the past 4 years or prior to COVID hitting, we were seeing a big economic boom period where the economy was growing, unemployment was low. We were doing really, really well before COVID hit. Um, if I was researching that, I would want to find out what was happening in the economy. So, what was the unemployment rate? What was our gross domestic product? What's the inflation rate? I want to know maybe what were some of the things the government was doing during that time period that was leading to so much growth. If I need to look up like people that were having a say. So, were there any politicians having a say? Were there any big businesses that were leading the way and pushing for things? Um, I want to find out what people were who was doing what. What was life like for people living during that time? So, as a consumer, what would things have looked like? As a business owner, what were things like? So, I'm just trying to get a really good idea of this time period. And then you are going to present that information in some type of visual. Okay, so like I said, I have some questions here to consider depending on what time period you're choosing here. So, what major changes happened during that time period? Now, some of them are obvious, some of them may not be as obvious. So, we're looking at maybe at the start or before this period, what was life like, and then what changes happened. Um, so, does that mean there was more government intervention? Were there more government programs? Was there less government involved? What were businesses growing? Was the economy growing? Were things going really bad? Um, what kind of changes happened? How did the role of the government change during the time period you chose? So, was there more or less government? And if you remember reading yesterday, there's different roles that the government plays. So, like protector, provider, regulator, consumer. So, did we see one of those roles get bigger? And why did that happen? Um, what were some of the lasting effects on the economy? So, if there was some kind of new regulation, what did that mean? Not just right at the moment it happened, but also maybe 5, 10, 20 years down the road. What did that do for the economy? Um, like I said, who are some of the important actors? So, politicians probably are going to be a big one. Um, if anybody involved with the Federal Reserve, you find anything about that, I would list them out. Um, and then, kind of, what were some of the rates? So, again, unemployment, gross domestic product, inflation are three of the big ones that we usually record and have on record. That would be easy to find. And then, kind of, just, what was it like for people during this time period? Some of these periods are going to be periods of growth, some of these are periods of economic downtime. And so I'm just looking for you to get an idea of what these time periods are, what happened during these periods here, specifically economically related. Now, you might need to pull in some other things, some political things, some social things. That's totally fine. It doesn't have to be strictly econ, but that's where the focus should be, right? Now, a lot of times our economy changes when society changes. So if there are big societal issues, that can lead to changes in the economy, the kinds of things that are being produced, what we're asking the government to do. And so they do go hand in hand a lot of times here. So I'm asking you to just go out there and research. So you're looking up news articles, you can watch um, news reports. Um, most, about half of these at least, will have news reports available. If you need help finding some of the information, please reach out to me and let me know. I'll gladly help direct you if you are stuck. But I'm looking for you in this project, you and your partner, to, like I said, become the class resident expert on your time period, so that you can present that information and say, look, here's what this time period looked like, here's what happened, here's why it happened, here are the effects of this. And if there are questions, you're going to be able to answer them. So we're not just looking surface level. I want you to kind of dig down and get a lot of details for the period that you chose. Now, like I said, you're going to share this information in some kind of visual. So it can be a PowerPoint. You want to do a video. You want to make a poster. Like, it doesn't really matter how you're presenting it. You just need to present the information so that your peers can get that information about the time period um, that was chosen here. So um, that will all be due by the end of day on Monday. So you're going to have the rest of today, all day tomorrow, all day Friday, and all day Monday to work on this. So I want to give you as much class time as possible, especially since you're working with partners. That way you're together, you can do the research, you can talk with each other, have time to work on your visual and put it together before it needs to be turned in here. If you scroll down, you'll see that there is a rubric here so you can see where the points fall. Three big areas here: content. So I'm looking at the information that you're presenting. Is it accurate? Do you go in depth? Does it fully explain what was happening? The economic relevance. So like I said, it can be other things happening, but it should come back to the economy and how was the economy affected and what changes happened, and that it's accurate and its full explanation. And then points for having a visual, making sure that it looks clean, it looks well thought out. you have the important information on there, not just like a couple words and people have to draw a lot of inferences from. You need to give the information. So if you are doing a PowerPoint and it's longer, that's fine, right? That way you're not cramming everything into like 5 slides or something. Um, but making sure that your visual looks good, and it doesn't look rushed or thrown together here. So that's pretty much the overall view of the project here. If you have questions, things that doesn't really make sense, please send me an email. I'll clarify, especially if it's something that a lot of people have questions on. Let me clarify for everybody here. But for today, pick your partner, pick your topic, make sure you post to the discussion board, and then make sure you're using your time wisely. And like I said, if you have questions, reach out to me and I will gladly help out.